Hello, everyone. Today is Thursday, and so it's time to drop another episode. If you missed me last week, is because I was visiting family. I have a new third grandbaby. She is absolutely beautiful. When I travel, I experience anxiety over certain things, and I want to go more into that a little bit. But first, I want to mention that with life coaching, or if you are a life coach or you are doing techniques that you've learned from life coaches, you know that this is not 100% proof. You learn these techniques and life is perfect. We are humans, we're not robots, so we will always have emotions. It's how we handle those emotions once they enter our body, once the vibration hits us. So with that said, let me go ahead and give you a little bit of backstory. I've always been a shy, introverted child. And even when we'd go to places that we've gone before back in the 80s, it was roller rinks. And every time we'd go, I would get these nerves. And I think that was not just excitement, but a little bit of anxiety, social anxiety. I believe my mother and my father exhibited symptoms of anxiety, but they were never diagnosed or it was never discussed. So growing up, never knew what anxiety was, did not know how to deal with anxiety. My first panic attack happened when I was 25, pregnant with my second child. So I was not able to be prescribed drugs, which I am very thankful for to this day, because later on I was, and I noticed the difference. But I was referred to a sociologist, and that's where I first had my introduction to cognitive behavioral therapy, which is what life coaching kind of is in a similar way. It's about understanding how your mind is creating a lot of your emotions. And with the cognitive behavioral therapy that I was being taught, it was showing how my mind was creating a lot of the anxiety and the panic attacks that I was having. Got through the pregnancy just fine, never had to go on drugs at that point. And then I think is probably about 4 years after that, that I had my second panic attack, and I was at work. And I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know why I was having it. With my son, when I was pregnant, I thought it was all hormonal. Even though I was introduced to CBT, the dots did not connect. So I was put on drugs. I was on them for a few years, quite a few years. And then I got tired of being on them, having to be dependent on them. When I would miss a couple of days, I could tell the withdrawals were there. And the concern of if I ever wasn't able to get this prescription, what would I do? And so I'm like, I just have to get off of this drug. I need to learn how to handle my anxiety without the medication. And so I did go ahead and take myself off of that drug. I do not recommend this for anyone. Please, if you're on medication, work with your doctor. This is not promotion. I had already talked to my doctor previously when I was on it and already knew how to wean myself off. This is nothing like the drugs today. So again, if you're on medication, please consult your physician. This is not medical advice. I am not a medical doctor. But with that said, that was my journey. I did end up getting off of the prescription, and I still had anxiety. So I started following more up on CBT. But as I entered into the industry of life coaching, anxiety is one of those emotions that is talked about a lot, how to work through anxiety. So that's what I want to discuss with you today, is some of the techniques that if you are experiencing anxiety that you may be able to try. Again, this is not medical advice. If you feel like you're having a panic attack or a heart attack or you need medical attention, please seek medical attention. This is what I do when I am experiencing my own anxiety, which is low-level anxiety. And so here are some of the techniques that I will work through. There's a couple of different ones, so I'm going to go each through them and explain a little bit about them. The first one is anxiety existence versus reality existence. So with with anxiety, what anxiety is the worry of the future. So with me, it's a lot about my children, and I worry about them a lot. And I always in my mind have these grandiose catastrophes that are going to happen to them. And every time I've thought that, every time I've had an anxiety attack over it, you know what? How many times the story in my head has come true? Zero. So I am creating and robbing myself of the joy in that moment by thinking of something that possibly will never happen in the future. And even if it did, until it did happen, I'm robbing myself of that joy. So the anxiety existence versus reality existence is where you compare. Okay, this is what I'm thinking, and this is reality. So this is an example. This is not usually what causes my own anxiety, but I'll use it as an example. Say my son received his driver's license and he asked to go driving with the car. My mind may go to the point, I can't let him do that. He's going to get an accident. He's going to die. He's going to hurt other people. All of these things are just coming down at me. Boom, 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 boom. So I can look at that and say, okay, are any of those fitting into reality now? No, my son is still here in the kitchen. No, I haven't even given my keys to my son. So therefore, he could not have already been in that accident that my brain wants to tell me he was in. So you just want to kind of really focus the two of what am I thinking versus what's real. If you're someone that worries about someone being sick or someone, your brain just kind of takes that. Because sometimes mine will think, okay, they're going to get sick or they're going to catch something. And then I bring it back to, in this current moment, they are healthy. They are well. They are happy. They are with me. So that's how that technique works. The next one is talking, just kind of talking within yourself. Sometimes I wake up with anxiety and it's nothing that's triggered it. I believe that it's my subconscious when I'm sleeping. So it's not even thoughts that I can control. But when I wake up, the feeling of anxiety is already there. So I take a breath and I just acknowledge that the anxiety is there. And we're still going to get up and we still got things to do and we're going to do it with anxiety. So kind of talk to yourself. Hi, anxiety. So I see that you're with me again. Well, we're going to go ahead and get up and we're going to move about our day and just kind of talk to yourself. Maybe even ask yourself, so why am I having this anxiety? Hey, anxiety, why are you with me? Why are you here? Let's talk this through. And then you might be able to really get a grasp on what's going on for you in your thoughts. Another one that kind of fits into that is naming it. If you put it out there, you don't avoid it, you're not scared of, this is anxiety, this is what I'm going through. It releases a lot of the heaviness that maybe already be getting created by the fact that you're avoiding it. So just naming it out loud can give you some relief. The next one is playing with it. Because I'm already, and maybe you want to try this before you even have anxiety if you're someone that is prone to anxiety, because what it's going to show you is you have the control. So when I say play with it, create anxiety for yourself so that you see that you're controlling it. Come up with the most absurd, scariest, worrisome event you can think of that would trigger you, and then bring yourself out of it, and then put yourself back in it. And you can do this playing with it with some of the other techniques I've already showed you. When you let your mind wander into the anxiety zone, you could bring it back by the reality existence. And that way you're going to learn over time that you have the power to control your own anxiety. Another one, I used this one when I would have my panic attacks as I was standing in line at stores and I didn't want to just drop my stuff and leave. And it's to feel the sensations of your five senses. So what are you feeling? What are you smelling? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? Do you have a taste in your mouth? Go through your five senses. Or another one would be start with your feet and feel the senses in your body. How does it feel to have your feet to the ground? How are your toes feeling in your shoes? How are your legs feeling? And build up to your head. How's your head feeling? What does your hair feel like? Is it heavy? Is it soft? Use your senses to distract your mind from the thoughts that are creating the anxiety. And that might be what is just enough to get you from starting into an attack and stopping it to letting it go. So another one is hugging. And I just wanted to share my screen real quick with you on this one, because it talks about reduce stress and anxiety, and it talks about the hug. This is from therapybrands.com. The name of the article is Benefits of Hugging for Mental Health. It was written September 7th, 2022. So reduces stress and anxiety. A good hug slows down the heart rate and decreases the level of stress hormone, cortisol, in our bodies. In turn, hugging makes us feel calm, safe, and relaxed. The less reactive we are to stress, the better we are at regulating our emotions. According to one study, infants that receive more nurturing touch during their early developmental stages grow up to be less reactive to stressors and show lower levels of anxiety. So that's kind of the process of the hug. And I can attest to the fact that hugging works. When I was really in the height of my anxiety, I would have my husband hug me, or I would hug him, or we'd hug each other. But that hug is, like they said, it just is a state of calm and safety. So when I learned of my dad passing, he lived in another state. And when my sister called me and told me, that is a high stress situation. And what helped me calm down was just me even hugging my dog. No one was in the home with me when I found out. And so just to be able to give myself that, I can't even say calmness, but a lower level of stress so that I could think and process, hugging your dog, hugging a pillow, being able just to do that motion will help you. And I know when you're out in public, that's not the best option, but if you're at home or you're around friends, family, pets, it's great to lower that stress hormone. And one last one, there is a technique that you can do before you're even in an anxiety episode. And that will help you learn your nervous system learn how to be more managed. So I'm going to go ahead and go over that with you. And I'm sure you've probably seen it because there's tons of people that do different breathing exercises, and you can look up how to do breathing exercises and pick the best one for you. But this is the one that I learned in my life coaching course, and it's the one that I use. So I normally will close my eyes, so I'll do that now. You breathe in through your nose, hold for 5 seconds, and out through your mouth. Now, I heard another person teaching the same technique, and I cannot remember who it was, so I do apologize that I cannot give credit, but it is a way to also teach it to younger children. And that is by, I even did it with my granddaughter. She is 7. And it is to smell the flowers, hold for the 5 seconds, and then blow out the candles. So when she would get upset over something, I would say, hey, let's go ahead and do the smell the flowers, blow out the candles. And it doesn't work immediately, but if anything else, sometimes it got her to laugh. She thought it was funny, but the whole point is it released her stress. So I hope if you experience anxiety, that you can test some of these techniques out. There are tons of resources online. There are tons of resources in podcasts and other YouTubes. I hope you find something that helps you be able to manage the anxiety so you possibly can forego the medication. And with that, I will say good evening, and I hope to see you next week. Have a great night.